Okay, so picture that classic London skyline, right? You know the one, Big Ben standing tall? The Elizabeth Tower, the clock tower that's been there forever. Well, like since the 1800s. It's like the picture you see on every postcard, the backdrop for a million movies. But
Yeah.
what if what if everything we think we know about this monument, about this like Victorian clock tower is what if it's just the tip of the iceberg?
Yeah, that's exactly where our documentation takes us. Like way beyond that simple postcard image. It suggests that maybe, just maybe, there's more to Big Ben than meets the eye. We might be looking at something way older than Victorian. What our documentation calls a post-reset
A
artifact.
post-reset artifact.
That's like, imagine a civilization, right, super advanced, way before what history tells us, and they had technology that'd blow our minds today. That's the kind of civilization our documentation hints at.
Okay, so like lost civilizations, advanced tech, that kind of stuff.
Right, and Big Ben might just be a piece of that puzzle, a leftover, if you will.
All right, so everyone's always known Big Ben, the Elizabeth Tower, like that it was built in 1859. You know, that whole Gothic revival thing. It's like a symbol of Victorian progress and accurate timekeeping. So, done and dusted, yeah.
Well, not so fast. See, our documentation presents a different angle. Like, what if 1859 wasn't a brand new build? What if it was more like a makeover?
A makeover.
Yeah, like a rebranding. Our documentation suggests that the tower could be much, much older, a survivor of some crazy event that reset civilization, and then during the Victorian era, they just sort of repurposed it, gave it a new job as a clock tower, maybe to downplay its real importance.
Okay, so now think about the size of Big Ben. I mean, this thing is huge, like 316 feet tall, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got that bell, 13 and a half tons, struck by a 441-pound hammer. Seriously, did they need all that just to ring a bell every hour? It just seems excessive for a simple clock.
And that's what our documentation wants us to think about. Like, why so big? It suggests that maybe, just maybe, there was a bigger reason for all that weight and size, beyond telling time.
Yeah. Okay, so what was it for then?
Well, the materials are interesting too. Limestone, iron, sandstone, not exactly random choices. Our documentation suggests they might have picked these materials for, like, their electromagnetic and acoustic properties.
Electromagnetic. Hold on, are you saying Big Ben could be some kind of like giant energy machine?
We're getting there. Limestone, for example, it's common, sure, but it also has this thing called piezoelectricity. It can create a tiny electrical charge under pressure. So, if the bell's vibrations created pressure on the limestone, well, that's interesting, isn't it?
You're blowing my mind here. So we've got this enormous structure built with specific materials, and it could be generating energy. Okay, keep going.
Now, let's talk about proportions, like the shape and ratios of things. Our documentation talks about harmonic proportions. It suggests that Big Ben's design echoes these proportions, these ratios, that are found in other ancient buildings all over the world. Pyramids, cathedrals, you name it.
Wait. Like there's a connection between Big Ben and the pyramids. Seriously.
That's what our documentation suggests. And it's not just about looks. These harmonic proportions can affect energy flow and stability. It's like in music, right? Certain ratios create these powerful, beautiful sounds. Architecture can be like that too. So Big Ben's dimensions, they might not be just about aesthetics. They might be about harnessing energy.
Okay, so Big Ben, the pyramids, harmonic proportions.
Yeah.
Are we saying there's some kind of ancient blueprint here, like a lost knowledge of how to build these amazing structures?
That's one of the possibilities our documentation explores.
Okay, so we've got this giant, potentially ancient structure built with specific materials that could have energetic properties and designed with these harmonic proportions, and that leads us to the bell itself. Our documentation says that maybe, just maybe, that iconic bong we all know wasn't just for telling time. It might have been tuned to specific frequencies, natural frequencies.
It's like a giant tuning fork almost.
Exactly. And these frequencies could have sent pulses through, like some ancient energy grid. It makes you wonder, right? Were all those bells and towers and churches all over the world? Were they once part of something much bigger?
It's a fascinating idea, the concept of etheric tuning, using sound to influence the environment, maybe even the weather, or who knows, consciousness itself.
Whoa, hold on. Consciousness, too. Now you're really going down the rabbit hole. But it does make you think, right? If they could build something like Big Ben, who knows what else they were capable of?
And then there's a location. Why build Big Ben right there, along the River Thames? Our documentation compares it to other ancient sites, like those along the Nile, places with, like, concentrated energy.
So not just any random spot then.
Not at all. Our documentation also mentions these things called lowly lines, like energy lines that crisscross the Earth. And guess what? They converge right around Big Ben. Plus, you've got all that Masonic geometry in Westminster Abbey just a stone's throw away.
Masonic geometry, like secret societies and stuff.
That's a whole other rabbit hole. But the point is, all these things together, they suggest that Big Ben was built in a very specific, very powerful location.
All right, so we've got a potentially ancient, massive structure built with specific materials designed with harmonic proportions in a significant location. And it might have been used for energy or even to influence consciousness. Now let's add another layer, the name, Big Ben. Our documentation reminds us that's not the official name, right? It's just the nickname for the biggest bell, named after Benjamin Hall, the guy who was in charge when they installed it. Simple enough.
Sure. But here's where things get interesting again. See, Big Ben, it kind of sounds like the Benjaminites, you know, those tribes in the Bible.
Wait, are you saying there's a biblical connection to Big Ben? Come on now.
Yeah, but it's just something our documentation points out. It's not proof, but it could be a clue. Like a hidden message coded into the name, a link to ancient bloodlines, maybe?
A hidden message in the name.
Yeah.
Man, that's some next level stuff. Okay, so ancient connections, secret codes. What else have you got?
Now, fast forward to World War II. London's getting bombed, right? But Big Ben stays standing, while everything around it gets destroyed.
Yeah, that's right. Like, how did it survive all that? It's pretty crazy when you think about it.
Our documentation suggests it wasn't just luck. Maybe those materials, those harmonic proportions, they made Big Ben super resilient. Or, and this is where it gets really out there, maybe there was some kind of invisible shield protecting it.
An invisible shield. Okay, now you're really pushing it. But I gotta admit, it's a pretty amazing story. So, ancient tech, secret codes, and a force field. What's next?
Well, this is where it gets even more mind-blowing, because our documentation talks about something really fundamental: time. It suggests that ancient civilizations might have understood time differently than we do, like not just as a straight line, but as something more cyclical, more vibrational.
Wait, hold on. Time isn't just a straight line. I'm officially lost.
Think of it like this. Maybe Big Ben wasn't just a clock. Maybe it was a machine that could actually influence time itself, like synchronize it, modulate it.
Influence time. Are we talking time travel here?
Not exactly, but maybe something close. Our documentation mentions the idea of a chrono-resonant device, a device that could use vibrations to affect the flow of time.
Okay, I'm so far down the rabbit hole now I can't even see the light, but I'm loving it. So, Big Ben, a time machine.
Not a time machine in the way we usually think of it, more like a time tuner.
A time tuner, right? Makes sense. So, this ancient civilization, they had the tech to manipulate time itself. What else did they have?
Our documentation brings up this concept of Tartaria, basically a civilization that's been wiped from the history books. They were supposedly super advanced, and they knew how to keep the world in tune, literally, using vibrations and energy.
Okay, so we're talking about a whole hidden history here, like a completely different story of civilization.
Exactly. And Big Ben might just be a piece of that story.
So what about other structures around the world? Are they connected to all this?
Well, our documentation mentions a few, like the Kremlin spires in Moscow, the Washington Monument, the domes of the Vatican. They're all different architecturally, but maybe they share that same ancient blueprint, that same hidden purpose.
So there could be a whole network of these ancient structures all over the planet.
It's a possibility, and they might all be connected to this lost knowledge of energy and frequency.
All right, so let's bring it all together. Our documentation keeps coming back to this idea of a reset, like a massive event that wiped out an advanced civilization and hid their knowledge from us.
Right. And in that context, Big Ben isn't just a Victorian clock tower. It's a remnant of that lost civilization, a piece of their global energy grid. And it's been repurposed, disguised, to keep its true function a secret.
Okay, but how did they hide something so big?
Well, our documentation mentions the fire of 1834, the one that supposedly destroyed the old palace of Westminster. But what if that fire was convenient?
Convenient, like someone set it on purpose.
It's just a theory. But maybe that fire was a way to erase the real history of Big Ben. And then they built the Victorian clock tower on top to hide what was really there.
So Big Ben, this iconic landmark, it's a cover-up.
That's what our documentation suggests. We see a clock tower, a symbol of Victorian progress. But underneath, there might be something much older, much more powerful. A relic of a lost civilization.
A signal tower of the old world, hidden in plain sight.
Exactly.
So to sum it all up, Big Ben might be a remnant of an advanced civilization that knew how to harness energy, manipulate time, and tune the world. And they hid it all from us.
That's one way to look at it.
Man, if that's true, what else are we missing? What other secrets are out there hidden in plain sight? It really makes you think, doesn't it?
It certainly does. If something as iconic as Big Ben can have such a hidden history, what about everything else? The world might be a lot more mysterious than we realize.
It's enough to make anyone question everything they thought they knew. Well, folks, that's our deep dive into Big Ben, a seemingly simple clock tower that might just hold the keys to a lost civilization. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep an eye out for those secrets hidden in plain sight.